Welcome to Half 2-4. Today in the show, Paris celebrates while London drowns in tears. PSG takes the Champions League trophy, leaving Arteta empty-handed. Rafael Leao officially burns bridges with Milan and announces a transfer for ridiculous money. English giants are already lining up. Barcelona continues to surprise and hunts for Josko Gvardiol. And Arne Slot has already found a job and will head a Serie A top club this very week. We talk about all this and much more right now. It has happened. History is rewritten, Europe has a new two-time king, and London is in tears again. PSG is the winner of the Champions League. Luis Enrique goes back-to-back, winning the big ears for the second year in a row. While Arsenal under Mikel Arteta stops one step away from greatness, losing in the post-match penalty lottery. And you know what? This is a final we will be talking about for a long time. Why did Arsenal, having their best season in 22 years, not create a single save for the Parisian goalkeeper? And how did Kvaratskhelia become that very X factor that Paris was so lacking? Let us break this madness down piece by piece. Let us start with the Gunners. I believe that Arteta's team had a simply phenomenal season. Winning the PL for the first time since the invincible era of 2004 and reaching the CL final is cosmic. But the final, it is pain. Losing to an ultra-powerful PSG, and on top of that on penalties, when the only goal in the game for the Parisians was also scored from an 11-meter spot. This is cruel. Arsenal closed down practically perfectly. They allowed the best attack in Europe to create, well, maybe 1.5 chances during the whole game. It seemed like the plan was working. But now look at the other side of the coin. Arteta's team itself created practically nothing up front, except for the scored goal. Just look at these statistics. PSG goalkeeper Safonov during the entire game, taking into account extra time and post-match penalties, did not make a single save. 0. This simply screams about Arsenal's attacking problems in big matches. The Gunners urgently need fresh blood, 2 reactive wingers. Yes, there is Saka, but Bukayo, after constant injuries, has not been able to hit his optimal form for a long time. Mikel Arteta himself did not hide his emotions after the game, but behaved with dignity. He congratulated PSG, calling them the best team in the world, with an alien ball control that he had never seen before. And regarding the game, his quote can be gathered into one emotional confession. It is very difficult to take. We were so consistent in this tournament, and then to lose the trophy on penalties. Nobody can take this pain away. I watched all the penalties in the last 72 hours to understand what is a penalty and what is not, and that foul on Madueke could easily have been given. We won a big trophy, but lost the biggest one. What do I feel right now? Pain. But if I say to the players and staff a million times thank you, it will not be enough. Declan Rice added that Mikel told them how much he loves them and that this is only the beginning. Well, Arteta has already announced a huge summer reinforcement, so believe me, it will be fun in the transfer market. And now about the champions. First of all, congratulations to PSG on an absolutely deserved victory. This was obviously the hardest match of the season for them. Despite total control and a wild 75% of ball possession, Arsenal gave very little for the Parisians to create. But you also need to know how to claw out such matches, and PSG managed it. The Gunners did not allow the quick-legged forwards of Paris to run away and practically close down Vicha Kvaratskhelia. One can even say that Vicha did not have a very successful match, but on the other hand, it was he who earned that very penalty, which became the only goal for PSG in the game. It means he fulfilled his task 100%. Just look at Kvara's statistics in this CL. 16 goal contributions in 16 Champions League matches, 10 goals and 6 assists. Perhaps he became that very element that Luis Enrique was missing to win the big ears. And now he has 2 trophies in a row. Luis Enrique, the main creator of this success, directly stated that PSG deserved to win the Champions League for the way they played the whole season. And you know what is most interesting? He added, "We will try to be there next year. Why not? I think I can reach 4 Champions League titles." That is, Enrique aims straight for a historic treble in the CL. This is madness, but why not? He has a young team, and it will make a lot of noise in Europe over the coming years. Ousmane Dembele, who is the current holder of the Ballon d'Or this season, confirmed that the whole team worked hard for this back-to-back. And, by the way, PSG will earn approximately 150 million euros for their performance in this Champions League. This is crazy money, and Paris will have something to reinforce themselves with in the summer. My opinion, this final is a victory of system and character. Arsenal showed that they are already a top club, but they lack that very killer instinct in attack that PSG has. Mikel Arteta is a genius, and what he did with this team deserves respect. But Luis Enrique created a real monster in Paris, which is hungry for victories and is not going to stop at what has been achieved. And now the most interesting part. The next season in the Champions League promises to be much more interesting because many renewed giants await us. Look for yourself. Manchester City is being renewed after the end of the Pep Guardiola era. Manchester United returns to the CL with Carrick. Liverpool with a new tactical genius, Andoni Iraola. Real Madrid with Jose, Mourinho, and a bunch of reinforcements. Barca has already started rebuilding the squad, and Arsenal, Bayern, and others will start their shopping sprees there too. In short, the CL is simply super. And what do you think, friends? Will PSG be able to win the CL for the third time in a row? By the way, regarding reinforcements, Rafael Leao has officially announced that he is leaving Milan. While European top clubs are feverishly looking for reinforcements on the attacking flanks, the Portuguese superstar openly burned all bridges with the management of the Rossoneri. No rumors or hints from agents. The guy personally came out to the press and announced the end of his era in Italy. And you know what is most interesting? Taking into account that complete chaos now reigns at the San Siro due to the dismissal of Max Allegri and the failure to qualify for the Champions League, the price tag on the main dribbler of Serie A has dropped to absolutely indecent scales. Let us find out where the 26-year-old Portuguese will continue his career and why English giants have already lined up in a queue for this tasty piece. So, let us go by the facts, Rafa stated. I am proud to have written my name into the history of Milan, but now I strive for a new chapter. I feel that I am completely ready to try my strength in another league. I gave my all to the club that helped me grow, but the time has come for a new challenge. So, the Portuguese is determined and will definitely change his club registration this summer. And now, attention, where exactly is the winger aiming and how much will have to be paid for him? Previously, a cosmic buyout clause in the amount of 175 million euros figured in his contract. But due to the fact that Rafa failed this season and also Milan finished only in 5th place and did not make it into the Champions League, the club bosses themselves strive to arrange a sale to reboot the project. Authoritative sources reveal staggering figures. The price tag on Rafa has dropped to just 50 million euros. And right here, a symbolic market irony appears. For how much they bought, for that much they sell. In his time, in the summer of 2019, the Rossoneri purchased the talented Portuguese from the French side Lille for exactly the same 50 million euros. For a player of such caliber in today's realities, this is practically for free. Who is the main contender? The greatest activity is shown by Manchester United. The renewed Devils, under the leadership of Michael Carrick, produced a fantastic second part of the season, jumped to the 3rd spot of the PL and guaranteed themselves the Champions League, which significantly raised their transfer budget. Besides, Leao himself, in fresh interviews, confessed in plain words that he sympathizes with the Red Devils. His main idol is Cristiano Ronaldo, so Old Trafford for Rafa is a childhood dream. However, the player's entourage has already managed to offer his services also to Arsenal, Liverpool, and the French side PSG, so the battle for the Portuguese promises to be hot. I think for 50 million euros, Rafael Leao is the main transfer robbery of this summer, and the one who takes him first will get a colossal advantage. Yes, he is often criticized for passivity in defense and a certain laziness, but his explosive speed and dribbling in space are something that can instantly raise the attack of any club to a new level. For Manchester United, This is an ideal option to close the left flank and return the spirit of the Portuguese carnival to Old Trafford, which Cristiano once arranged there. Carrick needs such a systemic, but at the same time creative chaos and attack. But where the Portuguese will eventually end up, we will find out very soon. Friends, if you have watched up to this point, then subscribe to the channel. It is not hard for you and pleasant for us. And while you are subscribing, we move on. Jose Mourinho has not even stepped over the threshold of Madrid's Real yet, but has already started forming the squad. The Special One started a hunt for the best defender in Italy, Alessandro Bastoni. The manager of the Merengues personally called the leader of the Milan side Inter to convince him to choose Madrid. Let us find out how the Special One, with the help of agent Jorge Mendes, takes the most wanted defender of Serie A to the Santiago Bernabeu. According to information from the publication El Debate, the 27-year-old Italian center-back has become the #1 priority target for Madrid's summer renewal. His contract with the Milan side is valid until June 2028, and his market value is around 70 million euros. Inter demands the entire sum in a single check, and Florentino Perez is ready to pay, while super agent Jorge Mendes behind the scenes pressures this deal to a close for Real. By the way, Barcelona also seriously pretended to sign Alessandro, and sporting director Deco even fully agreed on the transfer terms. However, at the last moment, the deal was blocked by Hansi Flick due to the Italian's lack of starting speed for his ultra-high defensive line. The Blaugranas pulled out of the race, so the Royal Club now acts absolutely without competitors. My opinion? For Mourinho's project in Madrid, this is an ideal start. Bastoni is a top performer on whom you can build a defense for years ahead because he has an elite first pass and an ironclad discipline. But Hansi Flick's decision to give up on such a player is a wild risk. If the Catalans' high defensive line starts to crack, the fans will definitely remind the German how he personally gifted a superstar to a direct competitor. By the way, what about Barcelona itself? The Catalans are starting a full-scale transfer revolution for this summer. No economy mode, the Blaugranas have already closed the high-profile transfer of Anthony Gordon from Newcastle and are preparing several more mega transfers that will shake the whole of Europe. Right now, furious bargaining is ongoing with Atletico for Julian Alvarez, the price of the question being over 100 million euros. Also, Barca targeted Manchester City defender Josko Gvardiol. Let us find out how the Catalans plan to pull off this transfer blitzkrieg and which Spanish defender from the Premier League suddenly became their backup target. Let us go by the facts, because the boardroom work of Deco is simply boiling right now. The official signing of Anthony Gordon is just a warm-up. Next is Alvarez, and another bomb that is Josko Gvardiol. Barcelona is already actively working behind the scenes on this deal. The situation is ideal, because the Croatian all-rounder's contract with Manchester City is entering its final year. The citizens found themselves in a dead end. Either they sell Josko now, or in a year, they will let him go absolutely for free. It is precisely this financial leverage that the Spanish giant wants to use. However, the publication Goal warns the Catalans will have to withstand heavy competition from the Munich side Bayern, which is also looking for a top defender. But if it does not work out with Gvardiol because of the price, Deco already has a ready plan B. Authoritative insider Mateo Moretto confirmed that Barcelona joined the wild race for Chelsea defender Marc Cucurella. The Catalans are ready to withstand competition from Atletico. The Spanish fullback himself is maximally open to returning to La Liga, and his transfer value after several seasons in England can be significantly more attractive for the club's budget than the expensive Croatian. I do not know what is happening this transfer window with Barca and where they got the money, but they act very aggressively, closing Gordon and in parallel leading negotiations regarding Alvarez and Gvardiol is very powerful. Josko will ideally fit under that very ultra-high defensive line of Hansi Flick because he has a crazy starting speed that Bastoni lacked. But if finances start to press again, then the return of their own academy graduate Marc Cucurella is also a magnificent option. Marc is currently in good form, he knows the philosophy of the club, and will add incredible aggression to the team on the flank.
It's a 3-0 win.
And what about Arne Slot, who has only just been dismissed from Liverpool? The Dutch specialist has already practically found himself a new elite workplace. A wild carousel is unfolding at the San Siro. It is Slot who became the main candidate and absolute favorite for the post of manager of the Milan side Milan, after Mauricio Pochettino got tangled up in negotiations and Andoni Iraola chose Anfield. The bosses of the Rossoneri decided to act instantly. Let us break down this fantastic negotiating blitzkrieg on Hot Tracks and find out who will build the new Milan project together with the Dutchman. Let us go by the facts. As soon as Arne Slot signed the papers on the termination of his 3-year agreement with the English, the Milan side immediately approached his agents with a concrete offer. Currently, it is the former coach of the Reds who is a clear favorite, and the parties are already discussing the contract details for the upcoming season. And you know what is most interesting? Milan, in parallel, conducts a capital personnel administrative revolution, completely reshuffling its management. Together with the appointment of Slot, the club is one step away from signing a new sporting director, Ramon Planes. That means the Milan side is creating an absolutely new management vertical under the task of returning to the Champions League. This is simply an ingenious move and an instant market reaction from the bosses of Milan. In the morning, Arne Slot loses his job in England, and already in the afternoon, he becomes a favorite in Serie A. For the Dutchman himself, this is an ideal option to prove to everyone that he can still work and give results at the top level. Friends, thank you for watching, and if you liked the episode, do not spare a like and subscribe.
Threatening us more than a few times.